What is going on? We are live with Win the Day with Jay, the Jay Bradford Show. Look, got a special guest today, my man Jackson. Jackson, welcome to the show, bro.
Thank you.
Man,
I'm glad
so
to be
glad to
here.
have Jackson here. Look, pretty cool for me. Kind of a full circle moment. You know, I've known Jackson and his family since he was probably 9 years old, and this guy's an absolute stud. So I'm gonna just kind of open it up and tell a little about you, Jackson, and kind of why I wanted you on Win the Day with Jay. So this guy Jackson, man, just competed a Ironman in Augusta, 70.3 Ironman. I mean, look, that's a pretty real deal, bro.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, it was something that was pretty new to me. I had obviously went into it, didn't own a bike, didn't really know how to swim, and yeah, I just kind of figured it out along the way, and learned a lot about myself during the journey. So it's been awesome.
I can't imagine. I was looking up, the Ironman and the 70.3. I mean, you bike, what, 56
It's
miles?
56, yes sir.
56 miles. I mean, that's a long way, man.
Yeah, it's. I mean, to put that in perspective, it's like from Birmingham to Tuscaloosa. That's kind of how I looked at it, which is pretty nuts when you look at it like that.
Wow, and you run a half marathon and you swim, what, 1.2
It's
miles?
1.2, yes sir.
So, as you guys know from the first episode, I shared a little bit about my journey and just kind of how my transformation has happened. But my man Jackson right here, I've been seeing you work out in the gym. We work out at the same gym, not anymore because he's off in college and he's a student at Auburn. And but I saw Jackson just getting after it all the time. I see him in the sauna, see him on the bike, see him working out, and I could see the physical part happening on your body, bro.
Hmm.
And then I didn't know, I had no idea you were training for the Ironman, and then I
Hmm.
saw him post that. So yeah, that's a huge accomplishment. It's probably less than, I'd say less than 1% of all adults walking around have done an Ironman.
Oh yeah, I mean maybe less. I don't. You really don't know many. So.
I mean, just to run a half marathon is one thing. To swim 1.2 miles, but to do it all and in a 56 bike ride. So
Hmm.
so anyway, just wanted to kind of give y'all an introduction of who Jackson was on his physical. What he's done physically, and he's student at Auburn. What are you doing at Auburn? What are your major in?
I'm studying finance.
Finance. Awesome.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that this guy. I watched you play baseball for years, pitch, and
Hmm.
watch him play basketball. I mean, this guy's been an athlete ever since I've known him, and to take that into your young adulthood is pretty impressive.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate it.
I mean, how many people around campus are training? At 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning.
Not many, to be honest. You get out there and it's still dark, and a lot of kids in college, are still asleep, and don't really have the discipline when they don't really have a sport to get up for anymore. And yeah, you don't see many because you're just on your own. You know what I mean? So it just kind of has to be a decision that you make, and yeah, it really just comes down to how much you care about it. So.
Wow. I mean, Jackson and I, before the show here, we were talking about like our morning routines. And, as I shared, with the viewers and listeners last week, Jackson, I get up at 4:40 every day. Jackson gets up early, man, because I'm going to tell you, when I get up and I post my story, I see you all the
Yeah.
time because it shows who's online. I'm like, man, Jackson is getting
Yeah.
after it. And, just for a guy that's in college, taking a full load, and then training for an Ironman, that's a full time job.
Oh yeah, no, it's a lot, dude. I mean, yeah, to balance school with training, and now like the social media side of things as well, and then now like the business aspect of things, like it's a lot to balance. But one thing I always believe in is just remaining busy, like
Yeah.
being busy, and having like every hour of the day allocated to do something important. Like I think that you should be very intentional with your time, and it's so easy to get caught in this trap, like in college, of just having way too much free time, and really not doing anything with it. So I think it's very important, and like there's a major gap I think that you see in college kids. And it's just a discipline thing, I think, at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Like I said, like when you're on your own, you have all this free time, and a lot of kids don't know what to do and how to spend it. And I was a victim of that first semester, and we can kind of talk about that later on. But yeah, I mean, I found this race, and it's really given me purpose in
Yeah.
college. So
Man, I mean, went from, I mean, I never saw you running and all that stuff before I mean, did you ever run in high school or anything before?
yeah, so I guess this kind of I'll kind of talk about how I kind of got into all this stuff. So my whole life, I've been an athlete. Like I always played baseball and basketball, and always learned the importance of fitness and really moving your body, and how important like just the physical side of it all was. Um, but yeah, like when I got to college, I didn't have that anymore. But obviously, I knew I needed something to keep me busy, and I needed some sort of goal to work towards. And um, yeah, I guess in high school, like the only running I really did was with basketball and baseball conditioning. And it was something I was honestly really insecure about for a while. I was always one of the slowest runners on the track, and that kind of ate away at me. And is something that I never truly like acted on. Like I would try to put in work behind the scenes, but it was never something I really cared about enough to, um, really like progress in. So it was something that honestly I was just really insecure about for a while. Um, so as soon as I got to college, a few of my buddies started training for a half marathon, and I thought, what better way than to prove to myself that I can be a good runner despite all these limitations that coaches or my friends may have put on me, or even myself. So I started training for that and ended up getting pretty good at running, like for my standards, pretty quickly. And through there, I just wondered how much I had left in the tank. You know what I mean? It's like I just ran this half marathon. It's like, now what? You know what I mean? And you see a lot of people doing, especially like college age, just like doing the half marathons and even marathons. And for me, I just kind of wanted to take it one step further. You know what I mean? And kind of separate myself from just the average student on campus. So I'm always, I'm real big into doing things that scare you, and that was certainly something that scared me. So
I mean, look, I mean, half marathons are a huge accomplishment in itself, right? I mean, I've done 2 or 3 half marathons in my life. I did one when I was around your age, when I was super fit, and in my adult life when I was very large for the most part. I did another one before I lost a lot of weight. Man, that was tough.
yeah,
And to see a college kid do that and then transcend into the Ironman, I mean, that's a whole different level. I started following you on Instagram. Your Jackson Brad Fit. It was pretty impressive. I mean, your physique, how it changed,
yeah.
right? Muscle. Your fitness level. And then I saw some of your times. I think this guy's getting after it. I mean, he's running some quick. I mean,
Yeah.
7, 8 minute miles for a long period of time. Like, what did you average during the
During the
Ironman?
race, I averaged during the run, it was 8:30, but my goal was 7:30. I started cramping real bad, which is still pretty solid. I was happy with it,
I mean,
but
8:30. Look, hold on. Let me just 8:30 for 13 miles is more than pretty solid.
yeah,
That's really good.
especially after all the other things, you know what I mean? So
Yes,
I
I
was I
mean,
was pretty gassed and was cramping pretty hard. So I was proud of myself for sure.
well, I walk every morning, and I do just a mile. I think we average 17 minutes on that walk. Now we're walking, right? We're not
Mhm.
running or jogging. But you put it in perspective, you ran 8 minutes a mile, 8.5 for 13 miles after you've done bike 56 and swam 1.2.
Yeah.
That's pretty strong. I mean, what did you always want to be in the fitness kind of arena? Like, did you see yourself doing that, or did your training just kind of organically got you into that?
So honestly, not like I said, I've always known the importance of fitness, but it was never really something that I was passionate about. Like even sports, it was always something that I did and something that I care about and something that meant a lot to my family. And it was just something that I naturally did my whole life. But like I said, when I was on my own in college, I was kind of left with this decision. And yeah, when I started training for that half marathon, and got pretty good at running pretty quick. Um, like I really wondered like what else I had, and content creation had always been something that had always caught my attention. Something I've always been passionate about my whole life. Like I post videos, and I don't know if you've seen them of
Yeah,
me making those YouTube videos
yeah,
when
yeah.
I
You're a
was
little
like,
kid.
yeah, 8 years old, man. And it was honestly just like a lost passion. So I thought like, how could I kind of combine these two aspects of, like the physical part of it, and then do something creative, and how can I kind of merge these? So, you get so caught up in what people think about you. And, when you start with 0 followers, it's, really hard to not get caught up in other people's opinions. So I would say taking that first step was really hard for me.
Wow.
And once I started training for the half Ironman, I felt like it gave me a perfect excuse to kind of start posting and documenting my progress. And the whole time, I just kind of wanted to be authentic and show the struggles of, like learning all this stuff for the first time. And transparency is something that I'm big on. Like, I want you to know that I'm just a guy, you know what I mean, that knows how to show up. I'm nobody special, as you know. So
Oh man, consistency, right, Jackson? I mean, So Jackson and I have talked, and we were sharing a little bit about my journey, and and that consistency, right?
Mhm.
That's what wins every time. I mean, you're a finance major, so you want to invest for the next 20 years, that compound interest, and it's consistently putting $100 back. Then all of a sudden, you got $1 million, right?
Mhm.
So I think people undervalue that consistency, in their life, and that is pretty impressive that you've grasped that, at such a young age. And
Mhm.
me knowing Jackson's family, I know his entire family, they're all your whole family's pretty fit, to be honest with you. But I was thinking as I was preparing for this show, I was thinking about, the foundation. You were talking about being an athlete younger. You were talking about, just the consistency, the showing up. And I can remember times where I was training with my younger son that's your brother's age. And, they were like two guys in the stadium. And I'd look up and I'd be running stadiums on one end, and your dad would be running stadiums on the other end.
Mhm.
And this was before the Win the Day with Jay whole philosophy kicked off, right? This was, I was like 300 something pounds, but he
Yeah.
was always pounding
Mhm.
and I thought, man, that guy is so consistent. And then I saw that in how you're trained, right? And so we, learn behavior,
Yeah.
from who we associate with, who our parents are in our family. And it's just really neat to see you take that and
Mhm.
then morph it into what you're doing now,
Yeah.
and inspiring people. I mean, you got thousands of followers on Instagram, and I know you putting a lot of content out there about the fitness, and it's exciting for me because I was like, man, it just fires me up when I see that. I mean, I love it. You emphasize a lot about mindsets and lifestyles. How do you define mindset in what you're doing?
Yeah, so I think mindset is important because that's where it all starts, right? Um, and I think that in order to make a change, you have to make a conscious decision in your mind that this is what I'm going to do. And in a way, you kind of have to scare yourself into change. I think about in my journey, like the pain of not being a good runner was never bad enough, so I never really acted on it. Or even your journey, you know what I mean? It's like you continue to gain this weight, and then it's like the pain, you know what I mean, until it hits that breaking point and you're like, man, I gotta make a change ASAP. And yeah, I really do think mindset is a big thing. And I think you need to have a strong why. I think that's what helps me show up every day is I have a lot of things that go into my why. You know what I mean? It's obviously my faith, my family, my insecurities. Like, now I have followers that, are relying, on seeing my stuff. And I'm a big believer in just like be who you say you are. I have this fitness account. I would be doing, not only myself, but my followers now a disservice if I didn't show up every day and get after it. So yeah, it starts with your mind, and then everything else kind of goes from there.
And you touched on something right there, Jackson. So accountability and being true to who you are. I mean, you've known me for a long time, so I might be what you call an overshare. I'm a very people person, but doing a podcast, like the whole premise by me starting Win the Day with Jay is because I want to inspire, help, and encourage people, and take them on the journey of whatever that journey be. We're talking about fitness today, but it can be anything in life because I think when you're consistent, you're transforming. It circulates in every area. But you talked about just consistent, being true to who you are, and that's what's been interesting because I don't know a lot of young people that are training for an Ironman and then or have completed one. So now, how old are you now?
I'm 20 years old.
20 years old. So now you're 20 and you've completed an Ironman. So I mean that's a huge accomplishment. So what's next? What big goal or have you set one? Because it's a pretty you just did
So
that. So
yeah, honestly, there's a few things. Like the races are really important to me, and I think the races are something that like doing these races, it scares me, and I'm like I said, I'm a big believer in doing things that scare you. But overall, like I just have a passion for not only health and wellness, but for inspiring others and helping other people. So I've kind of taken a step away from the races and like the training, and really just focused on my content. And like really been buying into like my coaching because like that's another big passion that I have is helping other people, and I want to pour the knowledge that I've gained and through all the mistakes that I've learned over the years. I just want to be able to share that knowledge to people so that they don't have to go through those phases. You know what I mean? But yeah, to answer your question, I would say down the road for me in the near future is probably a marathon, and then I do want to complete a full Ironman.
wow, I mean, but you said something that really stuck out to me. Is talking about pouring into coaching, helping people, inspiring. Because I think sometimes, and I know for me, because I was an athlete my whole life, like you were, and when you train for an event or or whether it be a huge game or whatever that event might be, right? Once that event's over, it's kind of like, wow, okay, well, that's great.
Yeah.
What next? You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And I did the Mammoth March, which was a 22-mile hike. And man, I trained for months to do that hike. And after the hike, I mean, I felt like I remember the feeling I had like right then when I finished. Probably the same feeling you had when you finished Ironman, right? Just excited. You're just a lot of emotions, and but then the next day it's like, wow, okay,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, and I think the true transformation comes in the journey to get to that event, right? And you talked about putting out content and coaching and training and all these things, and that's where the sustainability of these healthy habits happen. And that's where true transformation changes. So, that 3 years from now, you're not going to be the old Jackson. You're still going to be you, just more
Mhm.
developed and grow. And
Yep.
that's exciting. So, how do you help clients? With their consistency? What are some of the tools and tactics that you've been helping with some people you work with?
Yeah, so I guess like as far as consistency, like I help busy guys, and I chose that audience because I'm a busy guy myself, as you know.
Yeah.
Like I talked about balancing school with social life, with training, with social media and coaching. Like it's a lot. Like I do a lot, and pretty much every hour of my day is spent, doing something. Um, so yeah, I would say as far as consistency, I've really had to learn how to build systems that work. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, like we all have the same 24 hours. You know what I mean? Me, you, Elon Musk, Steve Jobs, like we all have the same 24 hours. So it's not a time problem, it's a systems problem. That's what I've learned. So if you care about it enough, you'll make time for it. And I think it's all about planning ahead. Like, this past week I knew I had a test Wednesday, and I probably, had to study the whole night before. So it's just a matter of planning ahead. Or if, like you want to hang out with your friends Friday or do whatever, like you need to make sure that, you're getting your training done beforehand so that you can go enjoy these things and you can go, do the things that you love without having to stress over fitness. So I really do think, and I really emphasize systems.
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome. Systems and processes, and you and I were talking about my last episode, just the introduction about like it being intentional, right?
Mhm.
Creating intentional habits. And I know you, and I know your family. Me and your dad have actually talked about the David Goggins can't hurt me, and shared that, and the systems that people that are high performers put in place are the sustainable ones, but they're also, they're a little bit out there, right? People, I've been asked all the time, like, why do you wake up at 4:40? Because I want to do something hard every day,
Mhm.
and I want to keep a promise to myself. And like you were sharing just earlier on, when you make those promises and you keep them, you just keep building that up, over
Mhm.
time, and then you can sustain that, and then that's where you get true momentum,
Yeah.
And so I was thinking, well, as I was listening to you talk, I mean, you're going to be a finance major, and that's great that you're doing that. And I was thinking, man, this guy's going to have a fitness business or a coaching business. Good thing you're a finance major because now you're going to know how to work your own finances,
Oh, 100%.
for your business. Because I think you have a lot of like a high ceiling because you understand that you need system and processes. Like I didn't get that till I was 40 years old,
Mhm.
and I didn't, it was, just I didn't understand that when I was your age. I had goals and I was driven and I had some things, but to hear you at this point in your life talk about systems, processes, being sustainable, and habits, that is really impressive. And it's pretty exciting to see how you have grown and developed in that. So, we talked about, kind of what's next and these things. So, what do you see, if you could look ahead like 5 years? Where do you see Jackson Brad Fit at in 5 years?
Yeah. So, like I said, I kind of started this account with the mission of, just documenting my journey and, being able to document something that I care about deeply and to inspire others. And, yeah, now I guess it's kind of transformed from, just documenting my own journey into pouring into other people. So that's a tough question because I honestly don't know. Like, there's a lot of things that I want to do with it. And, you know what I mean? Like I could go like the brand route or like the supplement route or the apparel route, or I could, stick with coaching. Like there's a lot of things that I want to do with it. But at the end of the day, like I think just being authentic, like continue to document my journey through it all and the struggles. And then at the end of the day, man, I want to build some sort of community, whether that's a gym, whether that's, an online community, because that's something that I've always lacked. It's, something that I've never really been able to find, like even in high school, and I still struggle with it today, is like finding like-minded people. And I've found out like through social media, it's given me hope because I've been able to connect with so many other creators that have the same goals and passions that I do.
Yeah.
And like there's a high ceiling for that. You know what I mean? I don't know where that can take me, and I don't know what connections I can build through social media. But yeah, I would say that's my end goal, is to somehow bring together a community of just like-minded people. And
Man, that is so awesome, bro. And another thing, Jackson, is that I was just listening to talk, and I think that's why CrossFit gyms do so well, and that's why outdoor communities do so well, because they're like-minded people, runners, groups, people want to run together and train together. And you touched on something, because I think that that's being kind of real and open. I think people in general got to find their tribe, right, in their circle. I found my tribe, as I've been an adult and as I've evolved and transformed, and it seems like you're in that process, and which is neat. You might be the creator of a tribe, right, for other people, and I think that young people that are your age, have to do some evaluation, because man, social media can be, all these, it can be a lot of fluff and stuff, right? You kind of wade through that sometimes. But for you to say, I need to identify who my circle is and who my people are. And I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I do want to talk a little bit about that. I think that when you do hard things and when you do things that are extraordinary, it's hard to find other people that are doing the same things. Like, with you getting up at 4:40, like it was probably pretty hard to find somebody that was willing to do that every
Yeah,
day
I
with you.
got
And
one guy, man, one guy. He
yeah,
beats me every day.
and I struggle with that in college. Like, there's not a lot of college kids that are wanting to get up at 5:30 and go run until they collapse. Like, that's like people run away from that pain. And
Mhm.
I've just always been a big believer in, like, just feeling the pain, like addressing the root cause, you know what I mean? And, every day I get up and I attack what I love. And when I, go to bed at night, I don't really have any regrets about it.
Man, that is so great. I mean, yeah, I mean, you're in college, 20 years old, you get up, you're running at 5 a.m., you're posting content, you're helping people, and you're going to class, and you're living on your own. I mean, hey, you graduated high school a year ago, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a lot of things. I mean, you're very mature socially for your age, because you're doing all these things, right? You're learning how to do time management. I mean, there's a lot of time management into training for an Ironman. Like I said, that was a full time job.
Mhm.
Working around your school schedule and summer and all these things. But you are, you said something where the higher you go, or the more levels you go up, especially in fitness or just in your commitment to whatever it may be, you'll find out there's fewer and fewer people that want to go there, right? And it's really awesome when you have some guys that want to be there with you. And
100%.
so like I got one guy that walks with me at 4:40. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many people all the time like, Jay, why in the world? I mean, why do you get up so early? But that's just what I do, right?
Mhm.
Because I know it's very hard to me. For years, I always said I wanted to work out in the morning, and I never would do it.
Mhm.
So it's kind of a way of I'm keeping that promise to myself, and you're doing the same thing. And man, it is really, really impressive to have seen your journey, and from someone that has done some of those races and stuff. That's a very physically grueling deal what you went through,
Mhm.
but the mental part of it was worse. Like you talked about cramping.
Yeah.
I mean, to run through some cramps is not easy.
Mhm.
I mean, that's not easy.
Yeah, no, I have noticed like the mental benefits, like after doing a race, that is that hard. Everything else in life seems a lot easier. You know what I mean? And whenever I get stuck in a traffic jam, or make a bad grade on my test, I'm like, dude, I just did a freaking half Ironman.
Yeah.
Like, this is nothing compared to the pain that I just felt. And it's honestly like giving me hope that it'll always get better. And like even during my race, like there were moments where I was cramping, and I knew if I just kept taking steps in the right direction, that slowly, you know what I mean, like, and a few miles later, like the pain went away and I was back to normal. And I think the same thing goes for life. I think there's a lot of parallels between fitness and just life as a whole. And I think that's partly why I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah. Man, I mean, if you could give a message to every busy like man or person out there, because I know the busy guys is kind of your niche, right?
Yeah.
If you could give a message out there to them watching it, what single most important takeaway you want them to walk away with? Like, hey, this is it right here.
Yeah, I think it's just taking the first step. Like the first step's the hardest, but what you learn is that once you just start moving, it's a lot easier to make the next steps. And yeah, it's honestly not as hard as you make it seem. Like a lot of people look at it from this broad scheme of for me, like wanting to do this Ironman was something that was completely like out of reach when I started training for it in March. I thought I would never get there, but every day I took steps and showed up every day, with intentional effort. And slowly it became this thing that didn't seem so far fetched. And I see, a lot of parallels, like even with my content. I started from 0 followers. And even when nobody else believed in me, and told me that, I couldn't do it. I show up every day and I told myself that I would. And, I haven't missed a day of posting since I started. And just like with my training, like you can look at my mileage on Strava. I didn't miss a single week of training, you know what I mean? And, I was traveling, I was doing all these things, but I think consistency is the main thing. And once you learn how to show up for yourself, it carries over into, like literally your whole life. You know what I mean? Like I learned how to show up for myself through my training. And I learned that, I have no problem showing up to class. I have no problem posting twice a day. You know what I mean? Because there are so many parallels. And when you train 2-3 times a day, and learn how to show up for yourself in that way, like posting 2 videos, it's like the same thing, just in a different category. You know what I mean? So that's what gave me the confidence when I started posting, was like, look, I already have, I've already built this trait of consistency through my training. I'm going to have no problem making these videos. And again, like that's a reason why I think I'll go far with it, is because, like I haven't missed a day of posting since I started. And I have a lot on my plate, man. And like with traveling and school, and it's not easy, you know what I mean? And like, for example, we had some fraternity event. We were in Atlanta, and, we were all like going out or whatever. And like, I still posted a video at 7 o'clock, and we were just walking on the way there, and people were like, how did you just make that video? And it goes back to planning ahead. You know what I mean? It's just when you care about something so much, you'll make time for it.
100%. I mean, people do what they care about, and that's with anything in life, right? When I was unhealthy and unfit, I cared about going to fast food, and trust me, I went. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and I forgot to mention you're in a fraternity too. So, I mean, fraternity, first year of college, training for an army, that's a lot.
Yes,
I mean,
sir.
that's a lot. And it's really inspiring to see where you're going with this. I can't wait to see you next year, to see like, who you're impacting and the people that you're impacting in your circle and your fitness. And I mean, just today, right? You talk about overcoming adversity and doing things. Look, for all of our listeners and viewers today, we got a little odd camera angle today because, guess what? We had to learn how to hit the curveball, didn't we, Jackson? Like, we show up, and this is the brand new studio, by the way.
Mm.
Love the podcast studio. It's really pretty awesome. But had a camera set up on Jackson myself. Couldn't get everything working quite right. We had to learn how to hit the curveball.
Mhm.
I mean, a year ago, I would have been like, oh, man, I will just do it another day. No, I'm doing it today. You know what I mean? And we're going to get it done. And I thought about that. I mean, Jackson drove up from Auburn, Alabama. For those that are listening in other states, it's about 2 hours away, hour and a half. Something.
Yeah. 2 hours.
Yeah, he was in Auburn this morning. Drives up to record this afternoon, and hey, when things are important, you're going to make time.
100%.
And planning ahead. I plan every night for my next morning.
Mhm.
If I don't, I'm not getting up at 4:40. I'm not helping my kids get to school and getting myself to work and all these things. And if you don't plan the night before, you're not getting up at 5.
Nope.
I mean, look, I don't know what your sleep schedule is. We didn't talk about that. I didn't want to get in the weeds too much, but you're a college guy, so I get it, right? But you got to get some sleep if you're going to train all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And in college life, fraternity, all this stuff. I mean, what time you normally get in bed at nighttime?
It's different every night. It honestly just depends on what I have to do. I'm a big believer in like just getting the work done, regardless of the circumstances. And a lot of the times it means sacrificing sleep.
Yeah.
So I mean, some nights it's 8, some nights it's like 3. Some night, you know what I mean. And at the end of the day, it's like the job has to get done. Regardless of, I mean, nobody cares if you got 3 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep. Like you can complain all you want, but in reality, the people really only care about the result. What I mean? It's like, say you have a test the next day, like your teacher doesn't care if you stayed up till 3 a.m. the night before. All she cares about is, the grade that you made on the test.
Yeah.
So.
No, that's a great example. But also, hey, take care of your body as you go, right? You take care of yourself because, man, but it's awesome to see that passion. I mean, that's me. If I have a late night, I'm still getting up at 4:40. Now it makes it getting up a lot harder, and I'm sure
Mhm.
for you. I mean, you got a fraternity event, and the next day you're like, man, I gotta go run or train at 5:30 or whatever.
Mhm.
Makes it a little tougher, don't it?
Yeah. Or like a lot of the times it's like editing videos. Like
Yeah.
I like getting ahead, and
Hmm.
a lot of the times I'm like, if I get ahead, and I'm so obsessed with like the process of making videos. Like I'll sit down and work on something for hours on end and not even look at the clock. And by the time I look up, it's 1, 2 a.m. and I'm like, I got to get up at 5 a.m. for a track workout.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's important to like do things that you love, and yeah, I mean it makes time go by quicker. I know that's kind of something besides the point, but just doing work that doesn't feel like work. Like a lot of people look at my videos and wonder how I'm so consistent. Like, man, I just love it. And same thing with the training. Like, I have no problem showing up and getting up at 5 a.m. Like that's what I live for, man. Like I live for the late nights, early mornings. Exactly. Like that's what it's all about to me, man.
Man, that is so great to hear, Jackson. And man, I cannot wait to see where you are in a year from now and 2 years. I think you have a long runway ahead of you. I think you got a big audience to reach, and there's not many guys at your age doing what you're doing. I know the people you listen to, you study because I follow you on Instagram, and I think you know I read that book, The Let Them Theory, and man, you touched on it like you can't care what other people think, right?
Nope.
When you can go after your dreams at such a young age and go after your passion and man, I think that video you posted of you like being 8, 9, 10, that was classic.
Yeah.
That was awesome because now you fast forward, you're 20 years old, you're in college, you're on your own, and you're doing what you dreamed about when you were 8 or 9.
Yeah.
I mean, that's cool, right?
Yeah.
And
100%.
so, just really happy for you. So, look, thanks so much for driving up, man, to be on the podcast with Win the Day with Jay. Look, Jackson was our first in-person studio guest, and I kind of, I saw your journey all summer up close and in person when you were home, training. And me and Jackson spent a lot of time in the sauna. We'd always meet in the sauna. It seemed like at the gym and talk, and he would share about what he was training about, and love the sauna. By the way, I'm a big sauna guy.
Oh, yeah.
I went look. I did my walk day, did my workout in, and hit the sauna. So
There you go.
we just got to win the day every day, and that's the whole premise of this show. I wanted to bring you on here because number one, I wanted to give you a platform to share and for people to hear about you and go follow you. Go follow you at Jackson. How do they follow you, Jackson?
I think it's Jack Brad Fit. So JackBradFit.
Yeah, Jack Brad Fit. Go follow him on Instagram. Go hit him up. This episode is going to be on YouTube, podcast, and Spotify, and we have a lot of listeners, a lot of viewers, people in different states. So hopefully your audience will grow. You know what I mean? But I wanted to give you a platform because I've seen that growth, and I'm excited for you of what you're doing. Even though you go to the school down the road, Auburn, we'll let that slide. You know what I mean? We're in the state of Alabama, for those of y'all that don't know. And hey, Auburn's a great school, by the way. I love Auburn. Beautiful campus too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what a great atmosphere it is there. You know what I mean? And yeah, I mean, when I text you yesterday and I said, hey man, I'd really like to have recorded in person. You think you can come home this weekend? He's like, yeah, I think I can make that happen. And I was like, this is my guy right here. I like it. So, I'm just excited to see what you're going to accomplish, man. And I love having you on the show. And the whole premise of Win the Day with Jay is just to inspire people, right? To be consistent, sustainable, growth, transformation, and you kind of exemplify all that. So I wanted to bring you on to give you the platform to kind of inspire other guys that are 20s.
Yes, sir.
How many friends that you have that are 20? They have no idea what they want to do.
Oh, yeah, no idea.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, I honestly tried like a bunch of different things. And like when I first got to college, I was, kind of unsure of what I wanted to do. Like I was doing all sorts of crazy stuff. Like I signed up for boxing, jujitsu classes. I bought a guitar. Like I was just trying to figure it out. And luckily I found a passion early on in my life, and I've just taken it and ran with it. And I don't know where it'll lead me. I don't know how far it'll take me, but it's something that I care about deeply and that I work towards every single solitary day. So.
Man, that is fantastic. Well, look, so glad you came on the show today, and everybody go make sure you follow Jackson on Instagram. Check out his page. He's got some great videos. I like him. I watch him all the time. I see him on my feed, and proud to have you on. So look, This is Jay Bradford, and we are winning the day with Jay, and we are out.